Right now, things are getting pretty emotional for Cassie Ventura on the stand as she recalls for the jury participating in these sometimes days-long freak-offs, sexual escapades organized by Sean Combs.
She faced her alleged abuser directly and described a decade of manipulation, control, and abuse that would make anyone's blood boil. Remember that clip from Diddy's 50th birthday party? The truth about that night has finally come out, and it's more disturbing than anyone expected. In court, an audio recording was played, and as soon as it started, Diddy broke down. Honestly, it's not surprising considering what was revealed. I have all the details, and you'll be shocked to hear who was involved. Let's break it down. What looked like a solid friendship has now crumbled into betrayal. Imagine two legends of hip-hop, Jay-Z and Sean Diddy Combs, spending decades side by side, building empires and sharing the spotlight. The world saw them as more than business partners. They seemed like true brothers. That footage of Jay-Z celebrating with Diddy at his 50th, all smiles, now looks like a mask for a friendship that will collapse faster than anyone could imagine. But that was before anyone knew what really went on behind those mansion doors. Before Cassie Ventura took center stage as the unexpected hero, and before Jay-Z's name would echo through a Manhattan federal courtroom in a way that stunned the industry. Let's rewind. This isn't just about two moguls. This is a story of power, manipulation, and how one brave woman brought down an empire built on secrecy and shame. For years, Jay-Z and Diddy moved through the music world as if they owned it, collaborating on projects, with Jay-Z even featuring on Diddy's debut album, No Way Out, in 1997, and appearing together at every major event. Back then, having both of them at your party meant you truly made it. But while the world admired this friendship, Diddy was allegedly running a criminal operation that would make fictional crime bosses look harmless. And Jay-Z, that's where things get complicated and explosive. The first cracks appeared when Cassie Ventura filed her bombshell lawsuit in November 2023. Cassie proved herself a survivor, a fighter, and the reason this story is even being told. While others stayed silent or complicit, Cassie decided to take a stand. Her lawsuit wasn't just any lawsuit. It was a 35-page document detailing a decade of physical and sexual abuse, including forced participation in freak-offs. Imagine the most inappropriate adult parties possible, orchestrated by someone with absolute power and no conscience. The lawsuit described these as drug-fueled, explicit gatherings with male escorts, often filmed for blackmail. It's like having your most vulnerable moments recorded and used against you, only much worse, and seriously illegal. What's truly shocking is that the lawsuit was settled the very next day for $20 million. $20 million in 24 hours. That's faster than most people pick a movie to watch. This reveals just how much Diddy wanted to keep his secrets buried. But the True Row accused Diddy and others of a gang assault in 2003 when she was just 17. Producer Rodney Lil, Rod Jones, claimed he was forced to witness and participate in questionable act. Lawyer Tony Busby eventually represented over 120 accusers, including a 9-year-old victim. A 9-year-old, just think about it. So where was Jay-Z during all this? That's when the story takes a turn no one expected. While Diddy's world was falling apart, Jay-Z was about to get pulled in, changing their relationship forever. In October 2024, a woman identified as Jane Doe amended her lawsuit to name Jay-Z as a co-defendant, accusing both him and Diddy of inappropriate conduct with a 13-year-old after the 2000 MTV Video Music Award. The allegations were so serious that headlines spread worldwide. According to the plaintiff, she was outside Radio City Music Hall during the VMAs when a limo driver, supposedly working for Diddy, invited her to an after party. She says she was given a drink that made her feel strange and claims both Diddy and Jay-Z
says they used 10 big bottles of baby oil per freak-off, blood and urine all over the walls, and some of the escorts they hired were allegedly from Craigslist.
Assaulted her while another female celebrity watched. Jay-Z's response was immediate and strong. He didn't just deny the allegations, he called them idiotic and outrageous, and claimed the accuser's lawyer, Tony Busby, was trying to orchestrate a blackmail attempt. Jay-Z insisted he wouldn't pay a single cent and argued that if the claims were real, they should be handled in criminal court, not civil. But things got even more heated as inconsistencies in the accuser's story came to light. She said she spoke to a certain celebrity at the party, but that person's representative confirmed it. Her father told NBC News he didn't remember driving 5 hours to pick her up, which clashed with her account. In a December 2024 interview, she admitted some mistakes in her memory but stood by her main claim. Then, on February 14, 2025, the accuser voluntarily dismissed her lawsuit with prejudice, meaning it can't be refiled. There was no explanation, but Roc Nation celebrated, calling the claims baseless and appalling. Still, there's a major question. If Jay-Z was cleared, why is his name still being mentioned in Diddy's federal trial? Why are there rumors about audio involving Jay-Z in court? And how did these two former friends end up on opposite sides of what could be the biggest celebrity trial of a time? When Diddy's federal trial began on May 5th, 2025, no one expected it to become the courtroom version of a reality show. Except this is not entertainment. entertainment, it's justice catching up with someone who thought he was untouchable. The revelations from that Manhattan courthouse completely shattered the image Diddy had built over decades. And it all started with Cassie Ventura, who stood up and delivered an unforgettable display of courage that left the entire courtroom stunned.
Prove racketeering, the prosecution is going to have to show that Mr. Combs and others conspired together to further illegal acts.
What's especially outrageous is the defense strategy. They're trying to make it look like the victim was somehow responsible for her own abuse. But let's be clear, consent can't exist when one person has so much power over another that they can threaten to ruin your life if you don't comply.
Firearms and ammunition, including 3 defaced AR-15s and a large capacity drum magazine. They also seized evidence of the freak-offs, electronic devices that contain images and videos of the freak-offs with multiple.
This is a clear example of victim blaming. The defense is using private messaging between the accused and the victim, trying to twist them into proof of consent when we all know victims often have to play along just to survive. It's like saying someone enjoyed being robbed just because they handed over their wallet without a fight. That moment marks accountability finally catching up. Cassie knew exactly what she was doing when she filed that lawsuit. She set out to take down a monster, fully aware of the risk to herself, but knowing it was worth it to protect others. Cassie wasn't alone in her courage. The testimony that really exposed the systematic side of Diddy's alleged crimes came from someone called the Punisher in court documents, and his testimony was explosive. Let's break down the contradiction. This witness claimed Diddy gave him instructions to move cameras during these sessions, then turned around and said he never saw any filming. That's like being told to turn up music that isn't even playing. It's a classic sign of someone trying to protect themselves while only telling part of the truth. He described seeing Cassie sighing and wincing, clear indicators of distress, but then, under cross-examination, claimed she wasn't uncomfortable. That's like watching someone cry and insisting they look happy. But the testimony went further, giving us a detailed view of how these alleged crimes were organized. There were schedules, routines, specific requirements about appearance. None of this was random. It was a well-oiled machine of exploitation. Cassie looking at Diddy during these sessions tells you who really held the power. That's not the behavior of someone willingly involved. That's someone being used for another's entertainment, treated as an object rather than a person, with money thrown around as if they were just performers in his personal. Cassie reportedly called them special sessions, but that sounds like someone coping with trauma by softening the language, which doesn't make what happened any less violent. Dawn Richard, a former Danity Kane member, also testified about seeing Diddy physically abuse Cassie, including a 2009 incident where he tried to hit her with a skillet for taking too long with dinner, then punched and kicked her on the kitchen floor. Dawn described multiple incidents of violence, like Diddy punching Cassie in the face at his New York home and in the stomach at a Los Angeles restaurant, causing visible distress. What's even more chilling is that when Dawn suggested Cassie leave, Diddy threatened her, saying, "You're going to disappear if you keep talking like that." That's intimidation, plain and simple. The case has pulled in other celebrities too. Dawn's testimony revealed that Usher, Ne-Yo, and record executive Jimmy Iovine were present during a 2010 West Hollywood restaurant incident where Diddy allegedly assaulted Cassie, but none of them intervened. Imagine being Usher, knowing your name is forever linked to witnessing abuse and doing nothing. Then there was David James, Diddy's former personal assistant, whose testimony was so revealing it gave a behind-the-scenes look at how a criminal operation functioned. He described setting up hotel rooms for freak-offs, procuring supplies like baby oil and lubricant, and explained that Diddy carried a bag of illegal substances, sometimes obtained under James's name. James painted a picture of a man so unpredictable that in 2008, when Diddy saw a rival Suge Knight at a diner and armed himself with 3 handguns, James became so frightened he gave 6 months notice to quit. Cassie's mother, Regina Ventura, also took the stand. Her testimony was heartbreaking. She described being financially blackmailed by Diddy, forced to pay him $20,000 from a home equity loan to recover money he'd spent on Cassie, all because he was upset about her relationship with Kid Cudi. Regina received emails from Cassie describing threats to release explicit videos and to have someone hurt Cassie and Kid Cudi. After Christmas 2011, Regina took photos of bruises on Cassie's body, which were presented as evidence. Multiple celebrities have been mentioned during this trial, not just in passing. Michael B. Jordan came up because of a 2015 relationship with Cassie that reportedly made Diddy jealous. Britney Spears was noted for attending Cassie's 21st birthday, marking the start of Cassie's relationship with Diddy. Kanye West was referenced over a 2009 incident where Diddy allegedly threatened him over Cassie. But the biggest shock remains the ongoing narrative surrounding Diddy and Jay-Z's connection, which has become central to understanding the alleged criminal enterprise. The internet has been relentless, and no one has been more persistent in trolling both Diddy and Jay-Z than Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. He's mocked them with Instagram posts, milk carton memes, and AI-generated arrest videos. His level of pettiness is unmatched. What stands out is how the evidence has been presented. The prosecution introduced explicit video allegedly showing the freak-offs, but these are sealed from public view. However, the jury saw 2016 hotel security footage of Diddy assaulting Cassie, clear visual proof of the violence. The trial has exposed the systematic nature of the alleged enterprise, with federal agent Gerard Ganon testifying about guns and drugs seized from Diddy's mansion, and former assistant George Kaplan describing Diddy's controlling and threatening behavior. The fall from hip-hop royalty to federal defendant is dramatic. We're watching someone who once ruled the industry brought down by people he thought he could control. Diddy's empire collapsing is like the Titanic sinking, except the real victim is the iceberg. This didn't happen overnight. It started the moment Cassie decided to break her silence and file that explosive lawsuit. Everything since then has felt like long overdue justice finally arriving. Now, let's talk about the federal investigation that brought Diddy to his knees. On March 25th, 2024, the Department of Homeland Security raided his homes in Los Angeles and Miami. What they discovered was staggering. Electronic devices, illegal drugs including ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, 3 illegally modified AR-15 rifles, and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. Over 1,000 bottles. That's like having a warehouse of evidence in your home.
You'll see one of those Bearcats, and law enforcement on the other side of those bushes basically is that home that is registered to Bad Boy Films, which is part of Bad Boy Entertainment.
What's truly infuriating is the defense's attempt to cast Cassie as an opportunist, even though she testified she would give back the $20 million settlement if she could erase what happened. You don't say that if you're after money, you say that when nothing can compensate for the damage done. The defense frames Diddy's control over Cassie as professional advice, but there's a big difference between style tips and someone trying to control every aspect of your life. That's like saying an abuser was just being helpful when they isolated their victim from loved ones. The evidence against Diddy is overwhelming. This isn't just a matter of he said, she said. There's video evidence, including the 2016 hotel footage showing him attacking Cassie. When that video was released, Diddy called his actions inexcusable and said he sought therapy and rehab, but that's like being caught red-handed and thinking an apology will fix everything. Let's return to Jay-Z for a moment. While he was cleared when that lawsuit was dismissed in February 2025, his image and friendship with Diddy had already taken a hit. A man who built his reputation on being untouchable was suddenly forced to defend himself from allegations that could ruin any career. The public reaction has been intense, and 50 Cent's trolling has become relentless. But this is about more than memes and online jokes. The public is finally asking the questions that should have come up years ago. Who knew what? Who was complicit? And how many victims suffered in silence while these men built their empire? Diddy's career has taken a huge hit. His own lawyer admitted in court that Cassie's lawsuit destroyed his career. His music, business deals, and endorsements have all stalled, and his carefully crafted image has been replaced by something much darker. The federal indictment alleges that from 2000...
Keep them there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
The scale and organization of the alleged crimes are what make this case so severe. This wasn't random violence. It was an organized scheme to exploit and control vulnerable people, allegedly lasting over a decade. What's even more disturbing is how many people must have known but chose to stay silent. We heard testimony about Usher, Neo, and Jimmy Iovine saying an assault and doing nothing. We heard about assistants arranging events and procuring supplies. That's like watching witness testimony, all painting a consistent picture of organized abuse. This isn't celebrity drama. It's about holding someone accountable for allegedly running a criminal enterprise disguised as business. The fact that Diddy has been held without bail since September 2024 as a flight risk says everything about the seriousness of his charge. You don't keep someone locked up unless the evidence is overwhelming, and there's a real risk they'll flee or intimidate witnesses. The wider implications go beyond music or entertainment. This is about power in America, how wealth can silence victims, and why it's so important for survivors to know their voices matter more than someone's reputation or bank account. Social media has played a major role, with updates spreading through news, sketches, and online discussion, shaping the story as much as the court itself. The way the public has responded shows how far culture has come in believing survivors. Just compare the support Cassie received to how similar cases were handled years ago. Diddy's fall isn't just about one man facing consequences. It's a moment when the industry had to face its role in protecting the powerful. It's a reminder that nobody is above accountability. As the trial continues and we wait for a verdict, one thing is clear. Cassie Ventura has already won. She broke her silence, inspired others to speak, and proved that even the most powerful can be brought down by truth, courage. Diddy's empire may be falling, but in its place is a movement of survivors, a culture ready to listen, and a justice system that can work. If people are brave enough to demand it, this is how you take down a monster. Not with revenge, but with truth, courage, and the belief that everyone deserves better than being someone else's victim.
Were dealt some seriously bad news over the last couple of days. They can't find one of the 3 primary witnesses. This is massive because we all know that their case hinges on these unnamed victims that they've listed out in their indictment, plus victim number 1, which everyone knows to be Cassie. She will testify, but victim number 3 is where all the
That clip used to sound like a joke, but now the feds are fully involved, and Diddy is unraveling as disturbing new details come out in court. From racketeering charges to witness tampering to celebrity names being mentioned constantly, this case is coming apart fast. At one point, Diddy even interrupted the judge to admit he was nervous.
trial subpoena, you are legally obligated to show up and testify, and this is going to piss prosecutors off. So you're bound. You're under penalty.
And now, with a key witness potentially missing, the drama is far over. Here's what's really happened. Diddy's federal trial started on May 5th, 2025 at the Manhattan Southern District of New York Federal Courthouse. The official case, United States versus Combs, is expected to last 8 to 10 weeks, with court running Monday through Friday. The prosecution's case centers around 4 alleged victims identified in documents as Victim 1, Victim 2, Victim 3, and Victim 4. While 3 identities are protected, everyone knows Victim 1 is Cassandra Cassie Ventura, who's November.
They can't do it, and they're going to be other people are going to testify who aren't victims necessarily, aren't alleged victims, but have witnessed the conduct that Diddy's engaged in. Prosecutors presumably have those people too on their witness list. We're going to find out as the case goes on.
According to prosecutor Maureen Comey, Victim 3, Lee Ames, CD3 doesn't live anywhere near New York City, which makes it challenging to get her into the courtroom. Even after attempts to serve her with a subpoena, the prosecution is worried she may not show up, even if legally required. This unexpected situation has Diddy's defense team demanding answers, pushing prosecutors to explain their plan for Victim 3's testimony by week's end. The judge has instructed prosecutors to make further efforts to reach both Victim 3 and her lawyer, recognizing how crucial her testimony could be. Yet, as of May 8th, 2025, the prosecution still hasn't been able to contact either of them, leaving many to wonder if this key witness will ever take the stand.
She told them she had helpful information, and actually, they would have asked her a million questions. She would have stood up under. This woman had something to testify that was going to help prosecutors.
This development has fueled speculation about why Victim 3 seems to be avoiding the trial. While it's important not to jump to conclusions, legal experts have suggested several possibilities. She may have reconsidered testifying, not wanting the pressure and public scrutiny of such a high-profile case. She could fear professional backlash in the music industry, where Diddy still has strong connections. There's a chance she's facing intimidation or pressure from Diddy's circle. Or she might simply want to move on from her trauma rather than relive it in court. These are just theories. No one truly knows why she's not responding. What is clear is that her absence could weaken the prosecution's case, since she was expected to provide key testimony about the alleged trafficking activity.
There's really been a flurry of activity, but you got to give credit to Judge Subramanian here. He is really starting to exert control over this case, and he has a schedule that he wants to keep. And part of that schedule is getting this jury selected by Friday. So as you mentioned, he's whittled down the pool. Remember, we started with over 600 potential jurors because this was going to be a hard case to find the 18 people you need, those 12 jurors and those 6 alternates.
Despite this set, the prosecution is moving forward, relying on testimony from the other alleged victims and witnesses who either saw Diddy's behavior or were involved in his activity. These witnesses are expected to include a friend, a business associate, a male sex worker, and Cassie Ventura herself. The prosecution's entire case is built on the claim that Diddy operated a criminal enterprise through his businesses, including Bad Boy Entertainment and Combs Global Enterprises. They argue he used his employees, resources, and industry influence to facilitate his alleged crimes and maintain control over his victims. This strategy allows prosecutors to pursue serious racketeering charges that, if proven, could mean life in prison for Diddy. On the other hand, Diddy's legal team, led by Mark Agnello and Tenny Garros, is mainly focused on portraying all the alleged sexual encounters as consensual between adults. They consistently describe the accusers as former long-term girlfriends who willingly participated in Diddy's lifestyle, framing it as that of a swinger.
Kanye West, Kid Cudi, Michael B. Jordan. These names and other celebrities came up at day one of Diddy's sex trafficking trial in Manhattan. Those names were on a list of possible people whose names might come up at some point during what's expected to be an action-packed 2-month trial.
In addition to challenging the nature of these relations, Diddy's lawyers have been aggressively contesting certain. They've demanded that prosecutors produce videos referenced in the indictment, claiming the footage simply shows adults having consensual sex, no violence or coercion involved. This move suggests the defense believes the videos support their case. The defense scored an early win when Judge Subramanian ordered prosecutors to destroy material seized during a search of Diddy's jail cell, ruling that the search violated attorney-client privilege. These materials reportedly included notes and recordings about Diddy's trial strategy, which his attorney said were improperly obtained. However, the defense faces major hurdles, especially with allegations that Diddy has tried to influence witness testimony from behind bars. Prosecutors claim he used other inmates' phone accounts and 3-way calls to reach people not on his approved contact list, potentially to shape their statements or discourage cooperation. They also allege Diddy asked family members to contact potential witnesses and coordinated social media posts to refute accusations, like an Instagram post by Witness 2 disputing claims from Dawn Richards civil lawsuit. If these witness tampering allegations are proven, they could seriously hurt Diddy's credibility with the jury and lead to more charges. Another challenge for the defense is the hotel surveillance video showing Diddy allegedly assaulting Cassie. Ventura, despite efforts to keep this footage out of the trial, arguing it was altered, CNN denied any manipulation, and the judge ruled the video admissible. This video could greatly influence the jury's perception of Diddy and strengthen the broader allegations of abuse and coercion. The defense has also made strategic moves during jury selection, questioning potential jurors to uncover any biases that could work against Diddy. They've challenged certain expert witness testimony as well, successfully limiting psychologist Don Hughes' input to only discussing coping strategies for victims, not coercive control. This appears to be a strategy to restrict the prosecution's ability to frame the allegation as abuse. In the initial days of the trial, Diddy has appeared in court wearing his own clothing, a dark blue sweater and white button-down. Notably, his hair has grayed during his 7 months in custody, since hair dye isn't allowed in Brooklyn jail. This change in appearance from his polished public image is a visual reminder of the serious situation he is facing. As the trial moves from jury selection to opening statements and witness testimony, stakes remain high for both sides. The prosecution must prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt, even with the complication of a missing witness, while the defense needs to counter the growing evidence and allegations. The trial is expected to run another 8 to 10 weeks, with court in session Monday through Friday. During this period, we can expect detailed testimony about the alleged freak-offs and the tactics Diddy supposedly used to coerce and control his victim, balanced by the defense's arguments of consensual relationships and willing participation. The charges against Diddy are extremely serious. 1 count of racketeering conspiracy, which could mean life in prison, 2 counts of sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, each carrying a potential life sentence with a minimum of 15 years, and 2 counts of transportation for prostitution, each with up to 10 years. The federal government alleges these crimes span 2 decades from 2004 to 2024, accusing Diddy of abusing, threatening, and forcing women into drug-fueled sex parties, then threatening them to protect his image and avoid legal trouble. Diddy continues to maintain his innocence, pleading not guilty across the board. His legal team claims all the encounters were consensual, involving long-term relationships, and that Diddy was simply living a swinger lifestyle, not committed crimes. The judge presiding over this high-profile trial is Judge Arun Subramanian, appointed by President Biden in 2022 and confirmed in 2023. At just 45, he's relatively young for a federal judge and faces the challenge of keeping the proceedings fair and orderly in one of the most, the court having to screen over 600 potential jurors due to Diddy's fame and the case's notoriety.
Morning, a look at the disturbing hotel surveillance video exclusively obtained by CNN of music mogul Sean Diddy Combs amid several assault allegations. The video from March 2016 reportedly shows Combs attacking his then-girlfriend singer Cassie Ventura, throwing her to the ground near an elevator in a Los Angeles hotel, then seen kicking her twice and trying to drag her away. Ventura's attorney responding to the video stating the gut-wrenching video has only further confirmed the disturbing and predatory behavior of Mr. Combs.
By the third day, Judge Subramanian had narrowed the jury pool to 45 people, from which they selected the final jury, 12 main jurors and 6 alternates. This efficiency shows the judge's commitment to keeping the trial on track despite all the complications. During jury selection, potential jurors were given a list of over 100 names and places that might come up during the trial, including a large number of celebrities.
Remind her, Diddy is charged with very serious stuff, including coercing women into what he called freak-offs. Prosecutors have called them days-long coerced sexual performance. Though has been increasingly getting more gray in the 7 months that he's been locked up, because hair dye is not allowed at the Brooklyn jail where he's staying. As a reminder, Diddy is charged with very serious stuff, including coercing women into what he called freak-off.
Seeing all these famous names just shows how interconnected the entertainment industry, and suggests this trial could give us a rare look behind the curtain of celebrity culture. Still, it's important to note that being on that list doesn't mean someone did anything wrong or was involved in any alleged crime. During jury selection, court asked if potential jurors had any ties or opinions about these celebrities. That could prevent them from being. The goal was to ensure jurors can focus on facts, no matter which big names come up during the case. The allegations against Diddy didn't just suddenly appear when the feds got involved. They're the result result of a long series of lawsuits and accusations, especially since November 2023. The most significant came from Cassandra Cassie Ventura, Diddy's ex-girlfriend, who accused him of physical, sexual, and emotional abuse over their 10-year relationship. Cassie's lawsuit was settled just a day after it was filed for an undisclosed sum, and Diddy didn't admit to any wrongdoing. But once she spoke out, it opened the flood. Many others began coming forward with their own stories about Diddy Kid Hoy. One of the key pieces of evidence in the current trial is the 2016 hotel surveillance video, which appears to show Diddy assaulting Cassie. CNN obtained this footage and is deeply unsettling, allegedly showing Diddy throwing Cassie to the ground near an elevator, kicking her twice, and then trying to drag her away.
On the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
Justin, right now he's having 48 hours with Diddy. Where we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose. I had legal guardianship of Usher when, you know, he did his first album. I don't have legal guardianship.
Gotta keep him there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
Let's also look at how this has affected Diddy personally. During his 7 months in Brooklyn jail, held without bail, his appearance has changed. A noticeable amount of gray hair since dye isn't allowed. This physical transformation is a visible sign of the strain and seriousness of his situation.
Right now, things are getting pretty emotional for Cassie Ventura on the stand as she recalls for the jury participating in these sometimes days-long freak-offs, sexual escapades organized by Sean Combs.
Says they used 10 big bottles of baby oil per freak-off, blood and urine all over the walls, and some of the escorts they hired were allegedly from Craigslist.
For someone who spent decades carefully crafting his image, losing control over his appearance and public narrative is a major shift. Diddy can no longer manage perception through social media, interviews, or staged events. Now the story is shaped by court proceedings and witness accounts. The financial impact is just as significant. Beyond losing partnerships and business opportunities, Diddy faces huge legal costs and possible settlements or judgments in many civil cases. All of this could substantially reduce the fortune he built over his career. No matter what happens in criminal court, there's a broader cultural reassessment of Diddy's career and influence. Many of his famous parties and past behavior, which were once celebrated, are now being re-examined. Comments and moments that once seemed harmless or funny are being scrutinized for signs of deeper problems.
Racketeering. The prosecution is going to have to show that Mr. Combs and others conspired together to further illegal.
They seized firearms and ammunition, including 3 defaced AR-15s and the large capacity drum magazine. They also seized evidence of the freak-offs, electronic devices that contain images and videos of the freak-offs with multiple
clips that once looked playful now carry much darker implications in light of these allegations. This complete reevaluation of Diddy's public image shows how quickly perceptions can change when serious accusations come to light. The question of who knew what and when will probably remain important through the trial and in public debate. Were there industry figures who knew but stayed silent? Did certain systems make misconduct easier? These tough questions may bring more soul searching within the entertainment. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Click the boxes on your screen for more. The judge ruled that this video is admissible in Diddy's trial, even though his defense tried to block it. Having this footage could strongly influence how the jury views Diddy and make the prosecution's other claims of abuse and coercion seem more credible. Since Cassie's lawsuit, more than 63 additional civil complaints have been filed against Diddy. In October 2024, attorney Tony Busby announced he was representing 120 accusers, 60 men and 60 women, including 25 who say they were minors when the alleged incidents happened. These lawsuits cover a wide range of allegations: sexual assault, battery, false imprisonment, trafficking, going back decades, even to the 1990s. Many were filed under New York's gender-motivated violence law, which allows people to sue even after the usual deadline. Explaining the flood of cases, the sheer number of these allegations paints a picture of systematic misconduct by one of music's biggest names. If even a fraction are true, this could be one of the most extensive celebrity abuse scandals in recent memory, on par with the scale and duration of cases like Weinstein or Epstein. This case is shaking the industry. Let's talk about the conspiracy theories circulating as a result, because they've exploded across social media. When a major celebrity faces serious criminal charges, rumors are inevitable, but the speculation here has reached new heights. Some theories claim other stars like Meek Mill, Beyonce, Jay-Z, and Justin Bieber are somehow involved, usually with little or no evidence. For example, one lawsuit suggested Meek Mill attended parties parties with underage girls and sex work, which he flatly denied, even offering $100,000 to find out how his name got dragged in. Other wild claims link Beyonce and Jay-Z to Diddy's alleged crimes and even to celebrity death, based purely on song lyrics and viral TikTok videos. There's also speculation that Diddy groomed Justin Bieber, fueled by an old video showing a 15-year-old Bieber with Diddy making plans to get some girls. Similar rumors have surrounded Usher, who also spent time with Diddy as a teen. These theories were further stoked by a Khloe Kardashian comment on a 2014 episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and even an AI-generated fake Bieber song that went viral on TikTok. Some celebrities have been directly named in legal filing. For example, a March 2025 complaint by Ashley Parham and 2 unnamed plaintiffs listed more than a dozen defendants, including NFL star Odell Beckham Jr., who was accused of participating in a violent gang in 2018. Beckham strongly denied it, saying he wasn't near the location and would never do such. Similarly, comedian Drusky was accused by Parham, but he called the allegation completely false, noting he wasn't even a public figure at the time and was living with his mom. These direct legal claims are separate from the broader conspiracy theories, but they too need proper legal review before any conclusions are made. Several major companies and brands have already distanced themselves from Diddy since the allegations surfaced, showing just how much reputational damage has already occurred, even before a verdict. For an entrepreneur whose entire business relies on his image, this is a devastating financial hit, no matter what the trial's outcome. Industry insiders believe Diddy's case might be just the beginning, with potential for more revelation about misconduct in entertainment. This has created a sense of anxiety within some parts of the industry, as people speculate about who could be implicated next. For artists who have long worked with Diddy, the situation is complicated. Many have stayed silent, likely not wanting to be pulled into controversy or appear to take sides before the legal process ends. Others may be reflecting on their own experiences with Diddy in light of these allegations. The case also raises tough questions about how the industry will handle Diddy's musical legacy. As a producer and artist, he shaped hip-hop and R&B for decades, but if convicted, that legacy could be overshadowed by his crimes, forcing streaming platforms and radio stations to make difficult decisions about whether to keep distributing his music. Looking ahead, there are several possible outcomes, each with major consequences. If Diddy is convicted on all charges, he could face life in prison. At 55, that would mean the end of his public career, and his business empire could be dismantled. A conviction could also open him up to even more civil lawsuits for financial compensation. The combined legal and financial costs could be ruinous, not just for Diddy, but for everyone connected to his businesses. If he's acquitted or only convicted of lesser charges, Diddy might avoid life in prison, but would still have a hard time rebuilding his reputation and business ties. Even in that scenario, public perception has been deeply affected by the allegation and evidence, making a true comeback unlikely. There's also the chance of a plea deal, though Diddy turned down an initial offer on May 1st, 2025. As the trial continues and the strength of evidence becomes clearer, both sides may reconsider their position. A plea agreement could mean a reduced sentence in return for guilty pleas, possibly resolving the case without the harshest penalty. No matter what happens legally, the social and cultural impact of this case will last for years. It has already sparked vital conversations about power, consent, and accountability in the entertainment world. These discussions could eventually lead to real changes in how the industry protects vulnerable people from exploitation. As the trial progresses, we'll likely see more evidence and testimony that will further clarify the allegation. The prosecution's case will center on showing patterns of coercion and that Diddy used his business resources to enable criminal activity.